Caitlyn, I saw you having a long conversation with the official. Walk me through your perspective on the flagrant foul. What was the point you were trying to make to her?
It's just a good take foul, you know. If either Angel gets wide open 2 points or, we send him to the free throw line. Nothing malicious about it. It's just a good take foul. Every basketball player knows that.
The Indiana Fever just got exposed in the most brutal way possible. Without Caitlyn Clark on the court, this team looked completely lost against Washington. We're talking about an 83-77 disaster that showed exactly how much this franchise depends on one player. Sydney Coulson couldn't handle the pressure, scoring just 4 points while turning the ball over 3 times. The offense scored 0. Fast break points 0. This wasn't just a loss, it was a complete system failure that has Fever fans questioning everything about this team's future, including some calling for Coach Stephanie White to get fired. Picture this. You're watching the Fever's first possession without Clark, and Sydney Coulson immediately turns the ball over. That's exactly how this nightmare started. Coulson was supposed to be the answer at point guard, stepping into Clark's massive shoes for at least 2 weeks while the superstar recovers from her injury. Everyone expected her to at least keep the ship floating instead of rising to the occasion. Coulson delivered one of the most painful performances you'll see from a starting point guard. We're talking about a complete meltdown on the biggest stage. 4 points on 2 for 7 shooting tells only part of the story. The real damage came from her 3 turnovers and 5 fouls in 31 minutes of playing time. This wasn't just struggling. This was falling apart when the team needed leadership. Most fans were literally calling for her to be pulled from the game as early as the second quarter. Social media exploded with brutal criticism. One fan perfectly captured the mood when they said, "I wanted to tell Sydney Coulson to leave the basketball before the basketball leaves her. But it's too late. The basketball has already left her." That's how bad things got out there. The offense looked completely lost every time Coulson tried to run a play. Teammates were standing around waiting for something to happen, anything to happen. The ball movement that usually flows through the Fever offense just disappeared. Players couldn't get into their spots because the point guard couldn't get them the ball where they needed it. Compare this to Clark's usual 19 points and almost 10 assists per game, and you start to understand the massive gap the Fever are dealing with. Clark doesn't just score, she makes everyone around her better. She creates easy shots for her teammates. Coulson couldn't do any of that against Washington. Social media exploded with Fever fans, questioning why Stephanie White didn't have a better backup plan ready. They knew Clark's injury was coming. They had time to prepare, yet this was the best option they could come up with. Fans were absolutely furious about the lack of preparation. Coulson's struggles expose the harsh reality that the Fever have 0 depth at the most important position on the court. When your starting point guard goes down, you need someone who can at least run basic plays. Someone who won't turn the ball over 3 times in crucial moments. The Fever clearly don't have that person. This performance raised serious questions about whether the team can survive even 1 game without their superstar, let alone 2 weeks. If this is what the Fever look like without Clark, the next couple of weeks are going to be absolutely brutal for this franchise. Here's a number that will make your stomach drop. 0 fast break points for the entire game. That's right, 0. The Fever's offense usually runs through Clark's incredible court vision and pace-pushing abilities. She creates those easy transition buckets that keep teams competitive. Without her, the team managed just 77 points while shooting a season-low 23.8% from 3-point range. The ball movement completely disappeared. The Fever only managed 15 assists compared to their usual 22 per game average. That's a massive drop-off. That shows just how much this offense relies on Clark to make things happen. When your primary playmaker goes down, Everything else falls apart. Players couldn't find each other. Open shots became contested ones. Easy baskets turned into forced attempts. Kelsey Mitchell should have stepped up as the primary scorer.
The fourth quarter in almost every game that they've played, they play hard. They're selfless. They move the ball. They cut hard. They play well together. And, they kept coming at us. And, at times we had breakdowns on the defensive end in our coverages. Their physicality, I felt like, on their defensive end against us took us out of our flow, particularly in the second half.
The 77 points scored represented everything wrong with this team's construction and their complete dependence on one player. When your offense can't function without one person, you don't have a team. You have a one-woman show with supporting actors who can't perform when the star isn't there. Fever fans are absolutely furious with Stephanie White. And honestly, can you blame them? After watching this disaster unfold, White had time to prepare for life without Clark. Everyone knew this injury was coming. The team had practice time, they had meetings, they could have worked on new offensive sets, they could have prepared backup plans. Brittany Sykes and Kiki Erie often combined for 37 points and 17 rebounds, completely outplaying their Fever counterparts. Sykes dropped 21 points and grabbed 9 rebounds, while Erie often added 16 points and 8 rebounds. These two players stepped up when their team needed them most. Meanwhile, the Fever's supposed stars couldn't match that energy or production. The Mystics outscored Indiana 25-17 in the second quarter alone, taking control when the Fever should have been fighting hardest. That quarter showed everything wrong with this Fever team right now. They couldn't respond to Washington's run. They couldn't make adjustments. They just watched the game slip away. During those crucial 12 minutes, even Washington's rookies got in on the action. Sonia Citron scored 13 points, while Erie often added 16 young players, stepping up and contributing meaningful minutes. That's what depth looks like. That's what good teams do when they need production from different sources. This loss revealed that without Clark, the Fever is not a championship contender. The league is getting stronger every year. Teams are adding talent. The competition is fierce. You can't just rely on one player to carry you through an entire season. Other teams have figured out how to win when their stars rest or get injured. The next 2 weeks will determine whether this franchise has any hope of competing or if they're just the Caitlyn Clark show. These games coming up are going to test everything about this organization. Can the coaching staff make adjustments? Can the other players step up? Can they find ways to win ugly games? Other players need to step up immediately. Or fans might be looking at a lost season and serious questions about the team's future. Kelsey Mitchell needs to be more aggressive. Aaliyah Boston needs to demand the ball in the post. Someone has to fill the leadership void that Clark leaves behind when she's not on the court. The Fever have talent on this roster, but talent means nothing if you can't put it together when your best player goes down. Washington showed them exactly what happens when teams come prepared and execute their game plan. The next 2 weeks will show us what this franchise is really made of. This wasn't just a loss, it was a wake-up call that the Indiana Fever are nowhere near ready to compete without Caitlyn Clark. Sydney Coulson's 4-point disaster and the team's 0 fast break points showed exactly how much this franchise depends on one player. Stephanie White's coaching decisions left fans questioning everything about this team's preparation and future. The next 2 weeks will either forge this team into something stronger or expose them as a one-player franchise. Clark's return is tentatively set for June 10th against Atlanta. Share your thoughts on whether Stephanie White can turn this around, and let's hope Clark comes back stronger than ever. If you can't wait for Caitlyn to get back, comment "Get well soon." CC down below, like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.